Good evening, and welcome to another video. This might not be exactly the season of the fan series, for that series or not, but it is Halloween. It's my favorite holiday, and Festive likes Halloween too. Festive, what are you going as? Festive Foxy Fox. Okay, that's a play on Snoop Doggy Dogg. Okay, so we're I'm going as Comfortable Man. So we are ready for Halloween, and it's a wet Halloween this year. It's raining. Might not get a lot of trick or treaters to hand candy out to, but we'll see what happens. Thought I'd make this little impromptu vid. I do want to do a vid, of course, before going into the uh, uh, the matchup for the Eagles against the Bears. The Bears this weekend. In fact, I saw a guy at the grocery store the other day, a Giant, wearing a Bears jersey, and I said, "Traitor!" He didn't exactly give a great reason why he was wearing a Bears jersey. He did say he was an Eagles season ticket holder years ago, and it cost $10 to get into a game back in 1981. After the Eagles were in the Super Bowl 15, losing to the Rays. Shout out to Snacks and Pistol. But, okay, they made up for it some years later, but many years later. But anyhow, I don't know. He didn't really give a really great reason why he was wearing a Dick Butkus jersey. And there's nothing wrong with wearing a Dick Butkus jersey. When you were a legend, okay, tip the hat. But yeah, it's just So if that guy ever sees this video, I didn't catch his name, but he said he's moving to Minnesota. I said you're moving to Viking territory. He didn't really give a reason. It just he's moving to Minnesota wearing a Dick Butkus jersey. It's amazing sometimes the people you'll see at Giant. But anyhow, shout out to that guy. And anyhow, we're moving on. I do want to do a vid, of course, for that. Of course, for the lead up to the Bears and Festive and I. Festive, of course, with the Festive 4, which, by the way, Festive does like to remind that if you wanted some of that straight cash, homie, you should have listened to the Festive 4 this past week, because Festive went 4-0 for the first time in the history of the Festive 4, which is established this season. But Festive went 4-0. Ooh. Festive went 4. Okay, that was a horrible ghost impersonation. But Festive went 4-0 this past week. So if you took your notes and you picked the teams that Festive said were going to win, the 4-pack of teams that Festive said was going to win, well, Festive gave that was going to win. Festive's very quiet, if you notice. But he said, don't worry, though. Festive gets awful chatty after the camera goes off. But anyhow, Festive did correctly predict 4 winners this past week and no losers. So for the first time, Festive was perfect. Huh? Oh, for sizzle. Okay. So anyhow, this vid, the actual reason for making this wacky vid here on Halloween 2019 is because it is Halloween, and you're supposed to give out treats on Halloween. I have a treat bowl here for the Philadelphia teams. Okay, these are the treats that I am hoping, and Festive is hoping, that our beloved Philadelphia franchises can give us in the near future. And let's get right to it. So the first treat, hey, you know what? Why not? We're going to go with our Eagles. And the treat we're hoping for the Eagles here is that for the rest of this season, obviously, it's a successful one. And obviously, Howie at the trade deadline was pretty much Howie for most of the season. Howie was like that neighbor that just keeps the lights off so the kids don't come for candy, this season. For whatever reason, didn't go after Minka Fitzpatrick, didn't go after Jalen Ramsey, didn't go after Jadeveon Clowney, didn't go after Emmanuel Sanders, didn't go after this, didn't go after that, didn't want to give up the picks to be able to get some more help in positions that they could have used help, but they are getting some guys back healthy. Djax hopefully playing this week. We'll see how he is off the groin injury, but we'll see. the hernia, sports hernia, whatever it is. You know, they're never really exactly disclosing what it was, but it kept him out for most of the season to this point after that wonderful Week 1 performance, 2 touchdowns. But yeah, it's okay. He's back now, hopefully, and that's what counts. And we'll get more into that in the Season of the Fan series. But I'm hoping for good things for the Birds, of course, the rest of the season. Hoping that they can make that playoff push. Hoping they can knock Dallas off their NFC championship pedestal. You notice Dallas, though, it hasn't been a Super Bowl championship pedestal in quite some time. In fact, the last time Dallas won a Super Bowl, YouTube wasn't around. I'm just saying. Anyhow, we would like to take that division back because, the last time the Eagles won an NFC East division championship, they kind of did something with it. See, Dallas has won it, and yeah, they kind of, it's nice. They get a shirt and a hat, but you don't get any of that. Now, I know Dallas fans are all about the past and the 90s and the triplets and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I was in high school back then. That was a long time ago. But anyhow, not that I like to remind Dallas fans of this, but anyhow, yes, we would like the Eagles to be competitive the rest of the season, show that effort they showed last week against Buffalo, win these games. There are going to be some tough games coming up, obviously. Even the Bears game is going to be, even though their offense is scary. There are going to be some tough matchups. Obviously, after the bye week, you got the Patriots, you get Seattle. The Patriots are the boogeymen, and then you get the beasts from the Pacific Northwest coming in. But yeah, I do think that the Eagles, and I hope that for the treat for the Eagles is that they give us a run here and into the winter and in, past the holiday season, and we have a division title and we have a playoff run ahead of them. I mean, do they have holes? Yeah, but you know what? We'll see what happens. They had holes some years ago, and they went ahead and did. Maybe you haven't heard, but they did that a few years ago with a lot of injuries, with some inconsistencies, and they still were able to get it done. So here's hoping, hey, if anything else, they give us a run, they get that, win a division title for the first time since 2017, and give us some postseason play. I know there's some teams that are really good out there in the NFC, obviously, the Saints. Boy, talk about boogeyman. Boy, they just, even without Drew Brees, they just couldn't lose, right? And then you got the 49ers are perfect. The Packers, who the Eagles beat, but they're still very good. The Vikings, who beat the Eagles, are, by the way, those Minnesota teams, maybe it's best when you come to Philadelphia that you don't go to the Art Museum steps and do stuff, because it really doesn't go well for your teams afterwards. I'm just saying. But anyhow, the Vikings are good. Although I still want to see Kirk Cousins in December. He's a different player. We'll see. But, they're still good. The Seahawks are still good. There's a lot of good teams, of course, in the NFC, and there's including an unbeaten team right now in the 49ers. And their fan base does like to remind people that they are undefeated. And hey, look, they've had some piss poor seasons, so they're more than entitled to live it up and enjoy it, when they're winning. Because I know, you come off tough seasons like they've had. I mean, yeah, your team's playing having a great season, and you should be proud of them. They're playing really well. Hey, maybe we'll meet up in the postseason. I know the Eagles don't play the Niners this season in the regular season, so we'll see. But yeah, so there are some challenges ahead. Certainly, the Eagles are starting to get some guys back healthy. That's a good thing. Howie not making moves might not be a good thing, but we'll have to wait and see. The jury on that still out there. Jalen Ramsey that would have been the biggest treat. Boy, if they just could have gotten Jalen Ramsey. I know. I'm going to be on this the whole rest of the year, and it's just one of those things. It's just it. Come on, Howie. But anyhow, my treat for the Eagles is to give us a division title this season. Take it away from Dallas. Anytime we can take something away from Dallas, it's a good thing. Just take it away from them. Just they think they have it now. They think they have it, and we're just going to have to take it from them. That's all. So we'll see. But yeah, Eagles, division championship, playoffs, make a run. You know, if anything else, get experience for the playoffs for Carson. Get experience for number 11, because that is certainly invaluable, right? At number 9 did okay a few years ago. He had some playoff experience before that. I'm just saying. Anyhow, that's the Eagles treat. We're gonna move on. We're gonna go into the container again here. We're gonna pull out. Oh. By the way, what scares Karl Anthony Towns? Joel Embiid. Ooh. apparently, it was fight night at the Wells Fargo. Okay, well, it was kind of wrestle around night at the Wells Fargo Center last night between Cat and JoJo, and yeah, the two big men. I mean, two big men. It just kind of hit the ground there, and there was the little tug pulling, rolling around, little wrestling going on there, and then of course Ben Simmons came up and had Towns behind the neck, and Towns tapped out. Boy, that was fellow Eagle fan, Karl Anthony Towns. So, but yes, that was something. But yes, for my beloved Sixers, listen, so far so good on the season, 4-0. The defense, which is going to be their calling card this season, right? The Broad Street bully ballers that they are. The addition of Al Horford, Richardson there at guard. Certainly better defensively than Redick ever was, but that's okay. Redick could hit a 3 here and there, but defense was not really what he was known for. But no, they are awesome. They are awesome on defense. They're awesome with the out rebounding opponents. The scoring, I'm not overly worried. I'm not overly worried because I know that they will get the points from JoJo. I know they'll get the points from Ben. I know they'll get the points from Tobias and Al Horford. Al's just that veteran. He's that veteran, right? The Celtics, they're going to miss him. They are definitely going to miss Mr. Horford. Gator, Al Horford, yes. Great addition by Elton Brand. He has put this team together. Do they still need a shooter and a scorer off the bench? Possibly, yes. Okay, maybe not possibly. Yes, they will. But that's what the trade deadline's there for. And unlike Howie, I do believe that if all this team really needs, if they feel to put them over the top, is to go out and get a shooter, a 3-point specialist off the bench, a scorer off the bench, what have you, I do believe that Elton will do what it takes to get it done. And let's face it here, okay? If this is the only thing that this team needs going into the trade deadline, I mean, there are scorers, there are shooters, there are on teams that are out of it, that are willing to give up, some players for some picks or what have you. You're not going to have to probably give up overly too much to get. And I do believe that what Howie didn't do, what the Phillies didn't do this past season, I do believe Elton Brand will do, and bring in a scorer, bring in a shooter. I mean, even bring in, as well as that, bring in another quality, defensive guy who won championships, who was a Finals MVP, and who was a Sixer at one point. Maybe even bring back Iggy into the mix. I mean, look, not for nothing, the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be out of it. Andre Iguodala's there. I mean, would he kind of fit this team right now? Maybe he wasn't the guy when he was originally here. He goes to the Warriors. He's a helping piece. He's a role player on that team and did his role very well to the tune of championships, Finals MVP, and what have you. And you know what? As a Sixer fan, I wouldn't mind seeing Andre Iguodala come back and be a spark off the bench defensively, give us some quality minutes off the bench. I don't think that would be a bad move to bring him back. And he's on the Grizzlies right now. Not for nothing, sorry Grizzlies fans, but they're rebuilding, retooling, and the Sixers can, maybe give up a second-round pick or something to bring him back home where his career began, and maybe even finishes off his career as a Sixer, helping the Sixers to win a championship or two along the way. I'd be all for it. And get a scorer, get a shooter. There's guys out there on teams that aren't going to be very good, and you can get them. So my wish list for the Sixers, look, just keep doing what you're doing. You're playing great defensively. You're stifling teams. Teams are getting angry playing the Sixers right now, taking them out of their flow, out of their rhythm. And it was one of those things that Elton did to put this team together that was just different. I mean, in a league where everyone wants scores, oh, we have to score, we have to shoot all these threes. Here come the Sixers, play a little defense, play a little bully ball, take players a little out of their rhythm, and we'll see. Now it is a league. Look, adjustments are made. Teams will adjust to it. The playoffs is a whole other animal, as we know. Although Toronto, you don't have that number 2 there anymore, Mr. Quadruple bounce that ends our season. He's not there anymore. All right, he's in L.A. And I said before the season, I told people it's going to be the Sixers versus in L.A. I didn't know who. I said it would be the Sixers versus a team from California. Probably not the Kings, but it's a team from California that will be in the finals this year. Maybe it's the Clippers. Maybe it's the Lakers, although I still think they have a few pieces to get yet. Maybe it's the Warriors. I just don't know. I think that going to the finals that many seasons, losing some pieces that they didn't, big pieces that they did. Now Steph Curry with the broken hand. Of course, KD is now, well, not going to play, but with the Nets now. Klay Thompson is out for more than likely the season. I just think eventually it catches up to you, and I think it will for the Warriors. I'm not a Warrior hater by any means. Steph Curry's one of my favorite players in the league. Just an exciting, fun team to watch for those years. I know they kind of got to people after a while, but it is what it is. I am a Sixers fan, so I would love to have had that success that the Warriors had over the past how many seasons. And I think the Sixers are right there. I think they're right on the doorstep of really putting this thing together and giving us that run that we've been waiting for since 2001, since the Sixers lost to a team from L.A. and California. We owe L.A. and we owe California, okay? So I do believe the Sixers, if they can stay healthy, and in Philadelphia, our teams don't like to stay healthy, but if the Sixers can stay healthy and consistent, and yes, at the trade deadline, if they need to bring in a scorer or another veteran player, a defensive stalwart like an Andre Iguodala, I would be all for it. And I do believe that would be my treat for the Sixers to get over that second round hump, go to the Eastern Finals, more than likely against a team like Milwaukee, beat said team, go to the finals, and, rep the city and win. Finally do what the Sixer team hasn't been able to do since the 1982-83 season when they beat the Lakers, a team from L.A. in California that season, and get over that hump and finally bring a title, an NBA title, back to the city of Philadelphia. It's a big treat to ask for, I know, and there's some really good teams, and hey, if they go to the finals, they're going to play a really good team, although a team that had to survive wars in the Western Conference to get to said finals. But I do believe the Sixers have a great opportunity. I think they built this team the right way. Defense wins championships is the old saying. This team is built for this. This team is built to withstand the wars of the postseason. Maybe they weren't exactly there the past few years. I do believe they're there. I think guys like Embiid and Simmons have that experience now, that playoff experience. I think Embiid kind of knows to stay away from Shake Shack this postseason. Maybe. So, and as long as he's not wrestling around with Karl Anthony Towns in the playoffs, I do think that this is going to be a fun team to watch, a gritty team, a tough team. The Broad Street Bully Ballers is what I call them. So, I do believe that they're the right type of team for Philly. This is the type of team that we've been waiting for. And it's taken a long time to finally assemble. But now that Avengers assembled, I do believe the Sixers are going to have that great season and great run in them. I said a 60-win season, and I'm still sticking to it. 60-win season, even with load management for Joel Embiid. And I do believe they should, because we need him. We need this team as healthy as you can be in the postseason, because if that's the case, I do believe they can beat anyone in the Eastern Conference, and I do believe that they have a good chance against whoever comes out of the West. So my treat for the Sixers this season the rest of the way, healthy, stay consistent. If Elton needs to make a move, Elton, you go ahead and you make a move. You make a move. And and let's have that postseason success. Let's get to the finals and let's beat that whoever team from, I'm saying a team from California, more than likely LA, that goes to the finals this season, Sixers. And if it is the Clippers, if it is Kawhi, we owe you, Kawhi. All right, we owe you. All right, no more bounces for you on the rim. All right, you had your time. You had your fun in the North last season. Now, we're on to you now, buddy. We're on to you now. So, anyhow, that's my treat for the Sixers. Let's see what else is in here. Okay, there's a hat. Ooh, I love my hats. We got the Phillies. And the Phillies gave us an early Halloween treat by bringing in Joe Girardi as manager. That is the guy that I wanted. I know that's the guy most Philly fans wanted. That's the guy that I wanted, okay? A guy with experience, with playoff experience, a good manager. I know, he was fired from the Yankees. Boy, stop me if you heard that one before. A manager fired by the Yankees, okay? Yes, their standard is just farther up than the roof, okay? So it is tough, and that is a very difficult place to be a manager. And I do think I do think in his time there he did a good job. Unfortunately, he beat us in 2009, but okay, we'll just let that one slide, Joe. Okay, we'll let it slide. If Cole Hamels was pitching the way he was capable of, it may have been different. But anyhow, we'll let that slide. He's a very good manager, and he is the right fit for this team. He is the right fit for this city. He is the right fit to help, bring this team back into the postseason where they haven't been in quite a while. Was it like 9 years or something like that? I know now they however many years has been 8 seasons, 9, however many. I know they just yesterday, like it was the or a couple days ago rather, it was the 11-year anniversary of 2008 and the Phillies winning, and today is the 11-year anniversary because the parade was on Halloween. My favorite holiday and my first parade, my first championship parade being a Philadelphia sports fan was the 2008 Phillies, and I was there. And it was quite a Halloween, the most memorable Halloween I've ever had, so but to bring that fun back, to bring that type of intensity, that type of leadership back, to this franchise, to the players, I do believe Joe Girardi was the right choice in every way. Is there going to be obstacles? Are there going to be lulls? Absolutely. Nothing's perfect. But like I said, I think they're on the right track right now. They got the right manager. I do think they have some good players on this team. But my treat for the Phillies for this offseason, I know they're going to be very tempted. Because they already got one guy with a lot of, they spent a lot of money. A lot of that straight cash homie, right? Straight cash homie, right? On a former national this past off season. Maybe you heard of him, Mr. Harper. Okay, and it might be tempting for them to do it again. This offseason with Mr. Rendon, who could be out there, the third baseman, a position of need for the Phillies, certainly. And we know after last season, the Phillies like themselves some offense. Okay, so they went all crazy with offense this past offseason. But my wish list for the Phillies, my treat, I should say, for the Phillies, I want pitching. I understand it was more than just the pitching that let the team down this past season. It was just there was a lot going on, okay? But the pitching is paramount, and you just saw it, right? 2 teams in the World Series, great pitching rotations, the Nationals and the Astros, 2 teams that, look, gave us a heck of a 7-game series, and yes, even though they're a division foe and, their fans kind of remembered they had a team in recent years, but congratulations to the Nats winning their first World Series, not just as the Washington Nationals, but I remember when they were the Montreal Expos, another team still in the division, from many years ago. So congratulations to the old Montreal Expos franchise. Viva la Expos. I do hope that the Expos return someday to Montreal. That they get a franchise again. I know next season they're splitting time in Tampa, or something like the Rays are splitting time from Tampa and Montreal, and maybe it's like a trial basis for Montreal. I do believe they need a new ballpark there in Montreal. One of the biggest tragedies in baseball is the '94 strike, because the Montreal Expos were one of the best teams in baseball that year. And who knows, you still got to win in the playoffs and everything. But if the season would have continued, the Expos could have been in the playoffs. And that playoff revenue, there was a great special on MLB Network. It does a great job with their specials, kind of like the NFL Films does. MLB does these specials on the MLB Network, MLB Productions. And it was about the '94 Expos. And if that team if the strike never happened, there was plans in place to build a new stadium in Montreal, an open-air stadium, and a really quality stadium. And if that strike never happened, and the Expos went to the playoffs and had success, and went to the World Series and had success, that playoff revenue may have saved the Expos. They might not ever have had to move from Montreal, and hence the Washington Nationals may never have existed. So Nats fans, as excited as you are for winning that World Series, and congrats to winning it, just thank the '94 strike. Because if that doesn't happen, the Expos never move out of Montreal, because they get that new stadium that they needed there, and they would have stayed there. And all those players that they let go and traded away, they would have had the capital to keep, like a Pedro Martinez, Moises Alou, Larry Walker, all those guys from that team that was having so much success. And of course, years later, Vladimir Guerrero comes along. I mean, those players never would have left Montreal. So you can just imagine that the Expos could have maybe even become a powerhouse of a franchise. So it's amazing what one thing does that just, wipes away what could have been. In that MLB strike in '94, that pretty much killed things for Montreal baseball. And it's a shame, because I do remember the Expos there. I remember going to Phillies games when the Expos were in town. Obviously, the Phillies weren't very good, and neither were the Expos then, but I saw Vladimir Guerrero in the outfield, and he was a hell of a player, and players that came up with Montreal, and obviously some of those players became nationals. And, the years later, here they are winning a World Series and a thrilling 7-game series. So, again, congrats to the Nats. You got it done. Finally. Took a while, but you finally got it done. And having playoff success and going to the Worlds, it's not because you got rid of Harper. Enough of this. You have some pretty damn good pitching. Okay, and that Soto guy's pretty good too. So, you can say all you want, oh, if we still had Harper. No. You built a hell of a team, and it was finally your turn. Okay, so it is what it is. I'm still happy as a Phillies fan to have Harper, and I do believe that Harper will help this franchise get over that hump, make the playoffs. He had a hell of a season last year. I mean, the guy's even nominated now for a Gold Glove, okay? So he did some pretty good things in the outfield, too. It wasn't just with his bat. And I'm glad he's here. I am. And I, as happy as I am that he is here, I would be equally as happy if the Phillies front office can finally do something and address that pitching that they absolutely need to address. I want starters. I want frontline starters, guys with postseason success. Okay, so if it's not going to be Cole, of course, with the Astros, who had a hell of a season, hell of a postseason, but his asking price might just be a tad more than what the Phillies could really do. And we'll see. Hey, they spent that stupid money this past offseason to get Harper. Who says they won't spend more stupid money and go after Garrett Cole, bring him back to Pennsylvania, where, of course, he was a Pirate for those years, bring him back to the eastern side of the state now to be with the Phillies. If any team's going to do it, I would not put it past the Phillies to do it. But at the same time, there are other quality pitchers out there. If they can't get Garrett Cole, I would not be opposed to getting guys like Mad Bum here, Cole Hamels, bring him back to the fold. Maybe he finishes off his career where it began with the Phillies. Mad Bum, of course, those successful seasons with the Giants, including the postseason, where, I mean, you name me a better postseason pitcher in the past, I'll say 10 years than Mad Bum. I mean, he was just, unbeatable basically in the postseason those years when the Giants were winning. And I would love to see him here. I think he's a player that the Phillies have their eyes on. They had their eyes on him last season, but of course at the trade deadline, the Giants weren't willing to move him because they were still in the hunt. I would love to see him here, and I would love to see them bring back Cole again. If they can't get the other Cole, if they're in the shopping cart, if they want a Cole, well, Cole Hamels isn't too bad. Mad Bum Hamels, I do think they need two quality starters, whether it's Mad Bum Cole and Cole Hamels, whether it's Mad Bum and Garrett Cole, whether it's Garrett. If they go double down on Cole and get Garrett Cole and Cole Hamels, they're going to be the Cole team. The Cole pitching rotation. Two of the five starters have Cole in their name. Okay, so, but that's what I want as a Phillies fan. And yes, I re-up my partial season plan. I got 17 games to go to this coming season. Looking forward to it. The Joe Girardi era is able to say I saw from the beginning. I was able to say I saw the Bryce Harper era in Philly from the beginning, because last season was the first year I did a partial season ticket plan with the Phillies. And I look forward to it. I look forward to it again, and I want to see a team that's going to contend. My treat for the Phillies is to get that pitching. Yeah, address third base too, okay? And if it isn't going to be Rendon, which it probably won't, there are other quality third basemen out there that you can get, maybe on a 2-year deal or something like that, like a Moustakas, even Donaldson, if he shakes loose from the Braves. I mean, there are guys out there that you could get, and I would hope that they would, because they need to address third base, and they need to address pitching. Relief pitching as well. I know this team was decimated with relief pitching injuries last season. It's one of the reasons why this team did fail. But at the same time, if there are guys out there to be had, they got to be aggressive. That's what I want the Phillies to be aggressive with this offseason is pitching. Pitching, 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 pitching. Starters, relievers. Get this thing fixed. Get this done, Phillies. Don't just give me another offseason where you're going to say, well, we believe in Nick Pivetta. Okay, enough. We know what Nick Pivetta is. So get me some quality pitching. Get me some veterans in here. Postseason experienced veteran. I know Jake Arrieta hasn't been that great, and he's had postseason experience, but I mean, again, this team needs pitching. They need guys like Mad Bum. They need guys like Cole Hamels or Garrett Cole. Whatever it is, address it, improve it, because you see the difference. These teams that are winning, yeah, they have some offense. Yes, the Nationals' offense is very good. Yes, the Astros' offense is very good. But their pitching rotations, the starting pitching, is tremendous. And this is one of the big reasons why those teams are in the World Series. The Nats finally won a World Series. Look at the pitching. Look at the guys they were able to throw out there. Scherzer, Strasburg. You go out this offseason. You spend the extra. You do what the Phillies didn't want to do and give Corbin the extra years. The Phillies should have given him the extra years, but they gave Corbin willing to give Corbin the extra years and a few extra bucks to get him, and he was invaluable for that team, either as a starter or coming in out of the bullpen in the postseason. It makes the world of difference. So Phillies, my treat for the Phillies this offseason is pitching, pitching, pitching. Get it done. Because the offense, I do think, is good enough. You bring in a third baseman, I think that will be fine. Maybe even get an extra guy on the bench for the outfield. Maybe even an extra utility man to play different positions to come in off the bench. I think that will be fine. But the pitching, that is priority one for this front office to get done. Okay? So that's it. And yes, that brings us to the last team in here. No big surprise who that team is. It's Festive's favorite team in Philly. It is the Philadelphia Flyers. And Festive and myself, the treat for the Flyers is, we want to see this team compete. We want to see this team start to compete. And I understand you have to be patient. We have a whole new coaching staff in place here, and there's a system, and there's some players who probably aren't going to be here, by the trade deadline. So, they're going to have to mold this team into the image that they want. I think there's certainly enough players on this team that are keepable, certainly enough players on this team that you can build a team around. But some of those guys that have been here for a number of years who just, look, I mean, we haven't won a playoff series in how many years, right? It's been a while. I mean, that Western PA team has had a lot of fun, and I'd like some of that fun here. Okay. And it is. It's tough. I think the last time, if I remember correct, the last time this team won a playoff round was 2011. I think it was the year after they went to the finals and lost to the Blackhawks on that crazy overtime Patrick Kane goal. But I think it was the following year when they beat the Sabres in the first round, and then they lost the following round. Oh no, I'm sorry. They beat the Penguins some years later. They beat the Penguins. I forget what year that was. Memory isn't what it used to be. But they beat the Penguins in the first round, and then they lost the next round to the I understand Flyer fans hate the Penguins. Most Flyer fans, that's like public enemy number one, and Sidney Crosby and everything. I get that. I'm not a I'm I'm not quite fond of that Western PA team too. I am jealous of their success. I'm jealous of them having players like Crosby and Malcolm to enjoy. I know they were bad for a number of years to get them, but geez, when the Flyers are bad, we don't get any Crosbys. Why can't we be bad when there's a Crosby out there to get? Flyers. But anyhow, um, it was that season, and that was the year before Giroux became the captain. Again, I'm blanking on the year, if it was 2015 or whatever it was. They beat the Penguins in the first round, and they lost to the team that I can't. And again, I know what it is. Most Flyer fans are going to tell you it's the Penguins. For me, I've had more heartache over the years with the freaking in the playoffs with the New Jersey Devils. That's the team for me, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong for Flyer fans to just hate the Penguins with a passion the way they do. I get it. It's mutual, right? Penguin fans hate the Flyers. Flyer fans hate the Penguins. I get it. But for me, the Devils. Yeah. And to the point that even when the Flyers beat the Penguins the next round, they lose to the Devils. And, it's one of those things. But for me and for Festive, we want this team to compete. We're tired of these seasons of either not making the playoffs or making it to the playoffs and losing in the first round. It's damn time that this team starts to compete again. And I get it. It's a process. And I know he struggled in that for a bit, but it does seem that they finally, hopefully, finally have a goalie in Carter Hart. And we'll see. He's a young goalie. He's going to make mistakes. There's going to be games where he lets in goals. There's also going to be games where he looks brilliant. And then we've seen that this season, right? We saw that last season. He's young. He still has things to learn. I'm willing to give him some time, and I have confidence in him. There are other players on this team I have confidence in. I think they have some young talent, like a Farabee. Farabee, rather. Looks like he could be a really good young player in this league. But there are other players on this team that I do believe it's time to move on from. Guys like Ghost, Voracek. And look, Claude Giroux is always going to be one of my all-time favorite Flyers. I don't know if it's quite time to move on from him just yet. We'll see by the trade deadline where this team is. I do think he still brings, talent to this team. I know he's off to a slow start, but he's one of those guys that when he gets going, he's one of the best in the league. But at the same time, look, he's been the captain for a number of years, and since he's been a captain, this team hasn't won a playoff series. So, and I don't want to put it all on G, because I don't think it's all his fault. I mean, the defensive breakdowns that this team has had, the goalie issues that this team has had, the inconsistencies that this team has had with coaching, with players. I don't think you can blame it all on number 28. But at the same time, look, he's been here for many years. And this team has never won a playoff series with him as a captain. And, at some point you do have to take ownership of that. There are other players on this team, like Sean Couturier, I think would make a pretty good captain. If they move on from Giroux, I can honestly see Couturier wearing the C. And I think it would be deserving. I do want to see this team get better on the blue line. I want to see this team get better defensively. I mean, they have a whole new coaching system now, I know, and the players, and they're young. They bring in some other defensemen like Niskanen, and I don't think they've been horrible. But at the same time, you're seeing the same kind of breakdowns over and over and over again, leading to scoring chances over and over and over again for the opposition. And I don't care who you have in net. Unless your goalie's going to stand on the proverbial head every game, you're going to give up goals that way. And we've seen that in recent games. Okay, for the most part this season, actually, we've seen that. So I want change. I want to get better. I want to be. I want this franchise to compete. It's been much too long for this franchise, a proud franchise like the Philadelphia Flyers, historic franchise, even though they were an expansion team in the 60s. I mean, you look at their record, it's pretty damn good. They've been in many cup finals. They were the first expansion team to win back-to-back cups. And I know it was a long time ago, 74 and 70 before I was around. But and Festive was around. But it's been a long time, and I know they've been close many a time, and it's like every time they finally get to a finals, they lose to a dynasty. You know, it's never like they never play Winnipeg. You know, they never play the Ducks, the Sharks, the Predators. It's like the 80s, the Oilers, Gretzky. In the 90s, it was okay. The Red Wings had one, but that was the start of their dynasty. And then the same thing, the Blackhawks hadn't won, but that was the start of their dynasty. Okay, give me the Sharks. I don't care. I'm not asking for much. Okay, we've been through this with all these other teams. I know you can't always help who you play, and the Eagles did beat the Patriots. I get that. But it's like the Flyers go to the next finals. Give me another team. Give me a team that's not either a dynasty at the moment or one that becomes a dynasty. I don't care. I just want to win. Yes, I'm asking for the easy way out. I don't care. I just give me one of those other teams. Finally, for the Flyers to play in the finals, and maybe then we can hoist that big silver shiny thing that other fans have enjoyed. I haven't seen. I saw the cup. I haven't seen the Flyers hoist it, and I want to. So my treat, I was about to say trick, my treat for the Flyers, and Festive's treat for the Flyers, get back to being competitive. And I do believe they have the right coach. Okay, I really do. In Alain Vigneault, I do believe they have the right coach. I think it's going to take time. Might take a few years. And I'm willing to give it time. I am. I know there's a lot of fans in Philly who aren't the most patient, want things right away. Yeah, it does take time. And remember, Doug Peterson took a couple years, okay? It takes time sometimes. Gotta be a little patient. But I want this team, Festive and I, we want this team to compete. Okay? 7-1 loss to the Penguins. Come on. Come on. We're better than this. We want to compete. And if there's players on this team that have been here for many years, haven't gotten it done, I don't think they should be afraid to move on from some of these players at the deadline this year. I really don't. And yeah, sometimes it's scary to make trades, and it does take two to tango. I get that. It's another team, too, you have to make trades with, and you want to get good compensation back. I get that. But some of these players have been here for a number of years, and it's like we're on that hamster wheel. We're spinning our wheels, not really getting anywhere. Okay, so maybe you move on from some of those players, and maybe it will take a couple years, to really get this thing right. But I want this team to compete. I'm so tired. Because when the Flyers are good, this is a great atmosphere for hockey. The Wells Fargo Center. When this team is good, the fans are always there. I mean, the one thing I don't think the Flyer fans get enough credit for is, I mean, you see these other fan bases when they're having down years and they're just not there. They don't go to games. Even in Detroit, Hockey Town, they don't go to games, okay? Flyer fans are always there. That stadium is full when they're winning, when they're losing. It doesn't matter. They're there. They travel. They go to road games. They're vocal. You see Flyer fans at road games no matter where they go. So this fan base has been loyal. It's ready, for this team to finally get over that hump and finally start to matter again. And I do believe they got the right coach, and I think his system's going to work here. But damn it, I want this team to start to compete. I'm tired of these seasons. I am. It's been way too many. For a franchise like this, it's been way too many to be down in not winning a playoff series. Way too many. So it's time to get this thing corrected. It's time to get this thing going. And if there's players on this team that just, you know what, we're not getting it done with them, move on from them. Find something else. Find a way. But damn it, compete. Compete, compete, compete. And I do believe as the season goes on, they will be better. All right, you're not going to see as many of those 7-1 games. But compete. Matter. Get into the playoffs. Do something in the playoffs. If it's not this season, who knows what, but in the future, in the near future, get it right, get it done. And no excuses. No more excuses. No more of that mentality. Get it done. The freaking Philadelphia Flyers. It's time to act like it. Enough of being one of the also-rans of the league. Freaking Philadelphia Flyers. This crest means something. It's always meant something. Being a Flyer means something. His fan base cares, is passionate. Yeah, they got it right with the mascot. It's about the only good thing. It's the only thing that they've done in recent years has been gritty. Okay? And what gritty or not, matter. This team needs to matter. This logo needs to matter. They need to be back in the playoffs, having success in the playoffs. And I hope Alain Vigneault helps that. I believe he's the right coach for it. But now you got to mold that team into his image. And what this coaching staff's going to, bring for this team, you also need the players. Whether it's the young kids coming up from the Phantoms, whether it's making moves at the deadline, bringing in some other players, what have you, maybe cutting ties with some players. But get it right, get it done. And no more excuses. Excuse time's done. It's time to start winning again. It's time to start competing again. All right? That team from Western PA can't be the only team from PA that had success. All right? Enough of that. So start mattering again. Right, Festive? That's right. Fist bump. Paw pump. Okay. Anyhow, that is the treat list for Philadelphia sports. Again, happy Halloween to everyone out there. Enjoy it. I know it's raining here, so yeah, Mother Nature pretty much gave us a trick this season. But it's been many years since it's rained here on Halloween, so I guess in a way, we were kind of due for this, although it kind of sucks, Halloween, like I said, is my favorite holiday. I enjoy it. I enjoy giving out the candy to the trick-or-treaters and whatnot, putting up all the decorations in the house, and, people enjoy it. And, I enjoy it too. It's always been a holiday I've enjoyed, so kind of sucks. It looks like it's going to be a washout this year. But if anything else, Festive and I wanted to put a little video here on YouTube. Yeah, long video. We tend to do that. But, that's the Philadelphia Sport treat list for me and for Festive, and I hope you all enjoyed this. I was kind of hoping there'd be candy in here. Oh, that's a trick. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the weekend. We're going to get ready for the Bears here in the Season of the Fan series, so that's going to be the next vid that will be posted. Hope to have that up by Saturday at the latest. And looking forward to that game. Looking forward to going to Tony's. My buddy Tony, myself will be there with Mark M. of Season of the Fan Philadelphia Flyer fame. And, of course, the captain, Jason, will be there too. So we're looking forward to that with Tony at his place. And Tony's hosting this week, so going to be going there. I know Mark M. hosted some weeks ago against Minnesota. That game did not go very well. So hopefully... hopefully this week goes a little better with Tony hosting. Mark, you did a great job, though. Shout out to you and shout out to for having us over that day. It was still a lot of fun, even though the game was not very memorable. But the time with friends, like I said then, and I'll say it again, time with friends is always going to be memorable. Always going to be fun, the memories and, the time you have. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to spending some time with the crew on the weekend there on Sunday, and hopefully the Eagles can get it done. Hopefully, hey, treat would be get another win, get 2 straight wins, and go into the bye week with that momentum, because they're going to need it. They got some teams coming in the following few weeks that are, yeah. One of them we tangled with just a few years ago. So, anyhow, thanks for watching again, everyone. From Festive and I, happy Halloween to all of you. Enjoy it, and we'll see you around. Hopefully within the next few days, a little breakdown for the Bears. All right, everyone, take care.